Welcome to today's Filmora Masterclass. I am Sean Kitching, a full-time travel filmmaker and YouTuber, and in today's video we are going to be showcasing how to take your normal footage and make it look super retro to give it that extra flair. One of my favorite things to do to footage lately is to turn it into this retro aesthetic vibe. And it's really simple to do, not only to take some maybe somewhat boring footage and make it really interesting, but it's also a nice way to add a little unique style and flair to spice up some videos that you might have. We can achieve the retro look with a few simple steps here in Filmora, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do it to achieve your desired result. Just before we get to the editing process, I do like to keep in mind that if I want my footage to be transformed into this retro look, when I film it, I'm going to try and do a few things to make it sell the effect. I'm going to be shooting handheld to have some of that raw organic movement in my shots. You can do it on any footage, but it doesn't quite work as well if you have these really cinematic, smooth, perfect shots in like slow motion. So for me personally, I really like to have that handheld jitter. Something else I kind of like to do is break the 180-degree shutter rule by turning my shutter speed too slow than what's recommended, so it introduces a lot of nice motion blur into my raw footage. And once I add on all the retro effects in Filmora, the footage really just looks authentically retro and very, very cool. So remember that when you're filming, and if you are experimenting with this and trying it on your footage, maybe find some footage that you have that has been shot handheld and has some nice organic movement in it. With that being said, let's jump straight into Filmora and we can start processing this footage to add on all of our awesome retro effects. Once I've dropped my footage into the timeline, the first thing I'm going to do is head on over to the effects panel. I'm going to click on LUTs and I'm going to find a LUT that is appropriate for this retro style look. I'm generally going to be looking for things that have slightly warmer tones, maybe really giving that like summer retro style feel, because if we can get our base footage looking really nice and retro, the other effects that we add on are going to work even better. So I'll find the LUT that I like to use, and there's a whole bunch of LUTs right in Filmora that you guys can choose from to find the perfect one for you, but those are the things I generally look out for. Once I have one, I can add it to my footage and it immediately transforms it into an already retro feeling style. The next thing we're going to want to do is, by staying in the effects tab, we want to start adding some overlays. You can look through this or search for any keywords right in the Filmora library instead of going to a third-party platform, downloading the overlays and then adding them into your editing software. We can do it right here in the platform, which is hugely helpful and a massive time saver. We can search for other effects if we want to be more dramatic and have things like 35mm or 8mm film overlays, where you actually start to get these film borders or different frames. It's really up to you what style you want to go for, but you can go through all of these and try them out and see which ones work best. You can also mix it up throughout your footage, and if you have multiple clips in the same little cinematic sequence, you can throw one on one clip and then you can kind of change to a different scene on the other one. Maybe one's more dramatic than the other, and you can really get nice and creative with it. The nice thing about Filmora is we are able to add as many effects onto our clips as we like. So we can really start building up these layers to make it really nice and full. For any of the effects that we are adding, we can go to the opacity, and basically 0 represents being completely transparent and not seeing that effect, and 100 being full intensity. We can adjust the slider to make the effect the correct amount of intensity that we want, without it being too crazy and overpowering, but also it being enough for it to be noticeable and just the right amount. If you want to get creative with your transitions, there's really nice ways that you can add things like light leaks or film burns, which goes hand in hand with the retro look, and they work seamlessly to change from clip to clip. I also sometimes just like to add them on if I have some shot that's maybe filming into the sun. I can add a nice little light leak and it's going to give that little effect on the lens, maybe some sort of light leak or lens flare film burn, and it's just going to add that another dimension of effect onto that footage, making it that much more interesting. So let's take a look at our before and after, this clip being the complete raw one, and once we've added on our color grades and all our overlay effects, you can see how beautiful this version is looking, and it's so nice and retro, giving your footage a really awesome look and a new life. So I hope that was helpful. Enjoy and get creative with all of the overlays that come in the Filmora platform.